Alright, for this video here we're going to go over how to create a brand new metric within Inzata. I do that in this module here in board, so I'm going to select that to open it up. You can see here I have already created a simple dashboard with a single report on it. I'm going to click edit so that I can change this dashboard, because let's say what I want to add is a third metric over here that is simply the transaction total divided by the purchase quantity. To do that in Inzata, all I have to do is go over to this metrics tab in my objects menu on the left, click the little plus to create a brand new metric, and drag over my transaction total divided by my purchase quantity. I can then wrap that in any one of these aggregation functions: sum, count, min, max, average, top, etc. I have to do that just so Inzata knows that this is the end of this calculation and knows what it's doing. So in this case I chose sum, which is what you're going to use probably 90% of the time. And I can also format my metric here. So for example, I can tell it I don't want any decimal places, because you'll remember my transaction total has decimal places. For this I don't want any, so I'll give that 0, separate at the thousands. We'll make the text be dark blue. I can also add a prefix or a suffix, so for example a $sign or a percent sign. I can also add an icon if I want, so an up arrow, down arrow, and give those a selected color as well. But I'll just leave this as is, and I'll hit, oh, I almost forgot to give my metric a name. To do that, you go over to the right hand side here, which is where you interact with the object itself. So here I'll give it a name and I'll say transaction total divided by purchase quantity. I can also give this an ID if I want, so metric, and I'll just call it training metric. And from there, now I've given my metric a name, I've told it how I want it to be formatted, I've given it its definition here in the expression. I can validate this AQL, so to make sure that this is going to work. We can see it comes back, says syntax is good, so that means my metric should work. I'll hit save, and you can see that it shows up in the bottom of my metrics list here. And all I have to do now is drop that in, and I can see it shows up now with that value divided by this value. So it's giving me these numbers here, and it's been formatted as I described.